I spent over $2,000 planning a dinosaur-themed birthday for my son. Balloons, costumes, everything he loved. But when we arrived, my dad passed the mic to my nephew and said, "Let's celebrate the real star today." My son quietly took off his hat and sat alone in a corner. I didn't make a scene. I just gathered the presents, spoke to the caterer, and walked away. By sundown, the tables were bare and my phone kept buzzing. 47 missed calls lighting up the screen. "Don't look at me like that, Noah. You always think you're the victim." Liam's voice echoed through the dining room. The smell of burnt casserole and cheap wine filled the air. Mom's hand slammed on the table. "Your brother's right. You ruin every family dinner with your attitude." "I didn't even say a word yet," Dad exhaled sharply. "You've been distant again. You think you're better because you have money now?" My fingers tightened around the chair. "I don't think I'm better," I said quietly. "I just stopped asking you to care." That hit something. Liam scoffed. "You know what your problem is? You think buying things makes you a good son?" Mom muttered, "He buys his love." I laughed once, dry, bitter. "No, Mom, I bought your rent." Her face changed. The silence after that was louder than the shouting. And then she whispered it, the one lie that started everything. "You stole from us once, Noah. Don't act like a saint." That wasn't just a lie. That was a knife. Who is Noah? My name is Noah Reed, 27. Every family has that one person who fixes everything. The bills, the broken car, the hospital copay. In mine, that person was me. When their power got cut off, I paid it. When Liam totaled Dad's truck, I covered the insurance. When Mom cried that they'd lose the house, I wired $5,000 without hesitation. They called me responsible, smart, stable, but what they really meant was replaceable. I wasn't a son. I was a walking bank account with a quiet personality. And when I finally said no, suddenly I was selfish. The family, Liam, 30, loud, reckless, broke. Dad's pride and Mom's excuse. He's been finding himself since he was 19. Mom, Evelyn. Sweet when she needs something, sharp when you say no. Dad, Charles. The man who thinks emotion is weakness and manipulation is love. Aunt Grace, late 50s, half outsider, half witness. The only one who ever looked at me like I wasn't crazy. Family dinners were always the same. Liam talking, Mom crying, Dad drinking, and me quietly footing the bill. I used to believe love meant loyalty. Now I knew. In this house, it meant debt. The shouting kept circling back to money. It always did. "You make 6 figures now, Noah," Dad said. "Helping family shouldn't be a burden." I swallowed the ache. I've helped for 8 years. When does it stop being help and start being survival? Liam rolled his eyes. "Man, you act like we owe you." "You do," I said. "Literally. You owe me 10 grand, Mom gasped. "Don't talk about money at the table." "Then stop treating me like a credit card," I replied. Liam leaned in close. "You wouldn't have that job if Dad hadn't pulled strings." I laughed quietly. What strings? The man didn't even show up to my college graduation. That one hit hard, Aunt Grace whispered. "He didn't show because your mother told him not to." Mom's fork froze midair. For the first time, Dad looked unsure. "Why would you do that?" Dad asked. Mom's voice cracked. "Because every time you're around Noah, you compare him to Liam. I wanted one night without disappointment." Liam barked a laugh. "Disappointment? He's the golden boy now." I looked at him. "You mean the guy who bought your car, paid your DUI fine, and covered your credit card?" He slammed his hand on the table. "You offered." I nodded. "And you accepted, every time." The room went silent again. Mom said, "Stop acting like a victim. You should be grateful you can help your family." There it was, the sentence that defined my whole life. You should be grateful you can help your family. I smiled faintly. Grateful? For what? Being used? Even Aunt Grace didn't breathe because they all knew it was true. Last year, Christmas, I sent $2,200 planning a dinosaur-themed party for my son. balloons, costumes, everything. When we arrived, Dad handed the microphone to Liam's kid. "Let's celebrate the real star today," he said. Everyone clapped. My son took off his little hat and sat in a corner. I didn't yell. I just stood there, realizing this family didn't even know how to love anymore. That night, I collected the gifts, paid the caterer, and walked away before the cake was even cut. They called me cold, but they never once asked why. Back to the present. Aunt Grace leaned forward. "Evelyn, tell him about the pension account." Mom froze. Dad frowned. "What about it?" Grace sighed. "The account was opened in Liam's name. Your retirement checks went there. When the money disappeared, Evelyn blamed Noah." Dad's face turned pale. "What?" I stayed still. I already knew. Mom whispered, "It was just until we sorted things out." "No," I said. "It was fraud. You forged my name on a loan. I found the document last month." Liam stood. "You went through my stuff?" I looked at him. "No. The bank sent the notice to my address because you used my SSN." The air shattered. Dad's hand trembled. "Is that true?" Mom started to cry. "We did what we had to," Aunt Grace muttered. "You ruined him to save Liam." I stood up slowly. The air was thick with guilt and cheap cologne. "I gave you my silence for years," I said. "You mistook it for obedience." Liam laughed nervously. "You think you're better than us?" "No," I said. "Just freer." Mom sobbed. "You can't just walk out on family." "I'm not walking out," I said. "I'm stepping away from the cage you built around me." Dad tried to speak, but the weight of truth pressed him back down. I turned to Aunt Grace. "Thank you for saying it." She nodded once. "It was time." Then I looked at them all. "You took my kindness like it was a credit limit. Now it's maxed out." I left the house to the sound of my mother's crying and Liam shouting my name, but behind me, the weight finally lifted. Every call, every text, every guilt trip. I let it ring. I wasn't angry anymore. I was done. For the first time in years, I drove home without calculating how to fix someone else's chaos. It was quiet. It was peace. Later that night, Aunt Grace called. "They'll never admit it," she said, "but you freed them too." I smiled faintly. Maybe. Or maybe I just freed myself. Months passed. I stopped sending money. I stopped explaining myself. And slowly, I started to feel human again. At my son's next birthday, it was just us. Small cake. A few neighbors. He laughed so hard he dropped frosting on the floor. That sound, that laughter, felt like healing. Mom mailed a short letter. No excuses, no blame. Just, "We're sorry. We're trying." I kept it in a drawer. Not as proof, but as peace. Because forgiveness isn't always for them. Sometimes it's the last gift you give yourself. For the first time, I whispered, I don't carry their weight anymore. If you were in Noah's place, which would you forgive your family or walk away for good? Tell your story in the comments. Maybe someone out there needs to hear it. Share what silence cost you, like if you've ever been treated like an ATM but still chose peace. Subscribe for more stories about finding your voice when the world keeps talking over it.